All righty, welcome back for another episode of Two Plane Sports. Today is Sunday the 29th as we're recording this. It is AFC and NFC championships. I think we got to talk about the AFC NFC championships a little bit towards the end of the video, and we're going to look either really smart or really dumb when this video goes live, and it'll be interesting thing to say. So today we're going to be talking about a lot of recruiting. I mean, obviously, Oklahoma, if you've been following us on Twitter and Instagram, Oklahoma has hosted a boatload of talented players this weekend, but between the 24 and the 25 class, mainly in the 24 class, since it is the junior day. And Oklahoma seems to be getting some momentum. Kids are interested in some kids that honestly, I didn't really think we're overly interested in Oklahoma, but it seems like they're coming back for their second visit or their first visit. And it seems like Oklahoma's making a lot of good momentum. So let's just get into it. The first guy I think we have to talk about because of a decision that is upcoming on the 31st, well, according to his 247 page, is he's on a commitment watch. His 2024 four-star quarterback, Michael Hawkins, number 15 quarterback, according to 247 in his class, which I feel like he could obviously elevate with a good senior season. I'm not saying he's going to be top 10 player in the country like Jackson Arnold ended up being, but I do see him rising at his new high school instead of being at Allen. So Hawkins came up with his brother and his family. Malik Hawkins came up with him, and Malik is in the he's a cornerback. He's in the 25 class. So I don't really know. I assume Oklahoma's going to recruit him as well, kind of like an Eli and Peyton Bowen. Malik, I think, only has an offer from Arkansas as it stands right now. But Oklahoma's recruiting both of them, it appears, or at least Michael for sure. Brandon, what do you think about Hawkins? I know that, this Levy rumors and all this other stuff, it seems like maybe his decision's a little clouded with him tweeting out at one point that his decision's going to be delayed. Now it's not posted anymore. You think it's going to happen? And what do you think of him?
I mean, it's gonna be interesting. It's gonna be fun to watch. I don't know if it happens on the 31st, just because he did tweet that at one point. Since been deleted, it's gonna be who knows. We talked about it last time I was on last Sunday too, and I'm kind of gonna stick to that. I would love to see Michael Hawkins at the University of Oklahoma. I think he's a very good football player. He's dynamic. He can run. He can throw. He can do it all. But what I said last Sunday, and I'm gonna stick to it, is for him personally, I don't know that it makes a lot of sense. I think that he has a better opportunity to play sooner if he goes to TCU or Arkansas. With TCU, obviously they just lost Garrett Riley. You mentioned the Jeff Levy situation. Well, Garrett Riley's actually gone, so that who knows what that. Arkansas, KJ Jefferson's going to be out soon, but I think he has a really good chance to play either one of those schools. I think at TCU he can beat out Chandler Morris if Chandler Morris is still there, and if not, he follows Chandler Morris in 24. I said it last Sunday, and I got a little bit of disagreements in the comment section because sometimes kids do wait that long. Kyler Murray was an example, but I just feel like it's a different game than when Kyler sat for 2 years behind Baker. I think when kids are as talented as Hawkins is, they don't tend to wait that long. That being said, I think Oklahoma has a really good chance. I mean, if you follow the visits, if you look at his connection, his dad being there or his dad being an alum, I think there's a lot of things that plays in OU's favor here. I just don't think if he does commit to Oklahoma, I don't know that he ever plays. I think he might portal out like Nick Evers did.
I think he would play, but he would need to be patient. And that is definitely not an easy thing to do when you're trying to get to the league. You usually want to try to get on the field as quickly as possible, unless you are just a ridiculously crazy talent like a Kyler Murray, where you really just need one season to show off that you're really good and then go number one overall. Can Michael Hawkins be that? I guess anyone can. So never say never, but it's not an easy thing to do. TCU's got I think TCU is going to be a much bigger challenge to try to beat out than Arkansas was, because he's from Texas. He's really not having to go very far. He'll be super close to family. If that's something he's going to take into consideration, now Oklahoma's still the school to beat, in my opinion. But with the Levy rumors, I think that's ultimately what also held them back outside of Kendall Briles getting hired to TCU to be TCU's OC. Hopefully it doesn't go much longer, because I get it, and I've said it every time. I get that Brent Venables and this staff wants these guys to be 100% committed, but you kind of got to get these guys to start. You got to get a few guys to at least start committing soon, and getting Hawkins to commit on Tuesday would be big, so that he can start helping recruit those guys that are going to Allen. Even though he's not at that school anymore, he's still friends with those kids. He's been there for the last 2 years. Probably grew up with him throughout his, from the time he started school until his recent transfer to Frisco. And then he'll be able to help out with if there's any kids at his current high school. Once he starts making more friends, he's up. I'm sure he's already practicing with the team. You just got to get someone, Hawkins or Flowers. I'm not sure if we're going to talk about him. I know we talked about him in our last video. Get at least one guy to commit to you so that you can get some peer-to-peer recruiting happening. And the signal caller would be the ideal guy to have commit, and Michael Hawkins on Tuesday, so that you can start getting your weapons, because wide receivers and running backs go quickly. I know our spots are limited, but there's a limited amount of those guys that can be really good at the next level.
And Hawkins, you would think with him being there, you would think that Levy is selling him that, hey, I am not leaving. All these rumors are not real. It seems like really the holdup could be, and why he deleted that tweet or made that tweet in the first place, was because of these rumors. I mean, at the end of the day, while you want kids to commit to the university that they're going to attend and play at, I mean, a lot of times you commit to the coach because Levy has a good track record. And I know people were upset last year, but all of a sudden now everyone's like, please don't leave, because they realized if Nick Saban wants him, he must be good, right? As Brandon says, the Alabama stamp of approval. So I don't think Levy's going to leave. And I think Levy this weekend, it was more so selling him, hey, I am staying here for the, at least in the near future. Obviously, I'm not going to leave just to be like a lateral move of offensive coordinator. This is at the highest of high levels of college football. And so I just think he's selling them. And I think I would hope he would have put the Alabama rumors to bed. But I mean, at the end of the day, if you put yourself in his shoes, Hawkins' shoes, you kind of sit back and think, coaches are going to tell you what you want to hear. It's like, how true is it? I think it's true that he's not going to Alabama. But I mean, at the end of the day, if I were in his shoes, what is it for him to wait another 2, 3, 4 weeks? I mean, it's not like his spot's going to be taken, because it seems like OU is all in on Hawkins.
I would agree for most coaching staffs, but with the fact that it's Brent Venables and how he handled him leaving Clemson, and he's probably going to want to try to set an example for his assistant coaches and be transparent with these kids. If Levy is entertaining the idea of leaving to Alabama, or if there's any group of five or any current vacancy at a head coaching position, I'm sure that he's going to want to tell these kids, like, there's a possibility, but nothing's guaranteed. Because it sounds like Brent Venables did the same thing. I know he was on the recruiting trail while they were in negotiations for contract stuff. For what was it, the 2 weeks that we all expected him to be the head coach, but nothing had been announced.
He visited Jaron Kanek in all his Clemson year and stuff.
And he was pushing him to go to Clemson still. I'm sure that he expects the same thing out of his assistant coaches.
No, that's true. So all I got to say is, if at the end of the day, if Hawkins does announce his commitment on Tuesday, I think that puts everything to bed as far as these rumors. I think they're already done, but that is like the nail in the coffin, and we can finally turn the page and never have to worry about it again, because he's not going to commit if he doesn't feel comfortable with Levy being here for the long term. So
if your stupid Patriots didn't have to go get Bill O'Brien, we wouldn't have to be in the situation at all in the first place. So I actually blame New England if things go to hell.
Everything is Bill's fault.
Everything is Bill's fault.
True. Whatever the problem is in the world, Bill Belichick is the catalyst for it.
True. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it is what it is. And, we decided finally we needed to hire an offensive coordinator, which, imagine that, right? You need an offensive coach for an offensive coordinator position. So you can blame the Patriots.
Matt Patricia forever.
Oh, please, no. That was painful all year long. So, all right, moving on to the next guy. We talked about him on our last video. 2024 4-star running back Jeremy Payne, 5'10", 170 pounds, out of Missouri City, Texas. He's the number 10 running back in the class, according to 247. And he went up for a visit, went with his family. Seemed like it went really well. we've heard that they really enjoyed their time and everything else. And obviously, if you saw on our social medias, there's a really cool picture of Jeremy with DeMarco Murray, and it just seemed like they had a great visit. He's really talented. Brandon, we've talked a little bit on the last video. What's your takeaway on Jeremy Payne from what you've seen?
I'm a big fan of Jeremy Payne. I did a lot of research on him this morning before we started the show. Looked at his numbers. So numbers wise, you guys know me, big yards per carry guy. He touched the ball 99 times this past season, and he averaged 10 yards a carry. So that's very impressive to have 1,000 yards on 99 touches. Averaging 10 yards a carry. He had, I think, 18 or 17 total touchdowns. Overall, he's he catches the ball well out of the backfield. There's a lot to like about his game. Big fan of Jeremy Payne. I would like to see Jeremy Payne in the Crimson and Cream. But there's a running back we're going to talk later in the show that I told you guys before I was more excited about. With that being said, I would still like to see Jeremy Payne make the decision.
I'm glad he had a good visit, and it really seems like this weekend went really well overall for recruiting. When I went on Friday's video, I was pretty confident that we could potentially get a couple of guys to commit. I did mention I don't think Payne is one of them, but the fact that he enjoyed it, I think, just puts Oklahoma that much further ahead as the school to beat for his commitment. I know there's not like an exact timeline, but I know there's speculation that it could be sometime later in the spring or early summer. Hopefully that's true, but he's got to take a couple more visits. I'm sure that he's lining those up, but it's good that this weekend went well for Jeremy, and hopefully he's one of the guys that takes those spots. I would assume that those running back spots we talked about on Friday's video, me and Brum did, would be gone by like early April, just because there's only probably one or two spots, and you got to take it if you think that you're going to want to play for DeMarco Murray.
It's a great position to be in if you're Oklahoma. And Brandon, something that we talked about in the last video is, there's talented guys that Oklahoma's in towards, it appears to be in their top 5 or top 10 schools. And when you look, you've got Taylor Tatum, the number 3 running back in the class. We're going to talk about James Peoples in here in just a second. Jeremy Payne, Caden Durham, Stacey Gage, all those guys. I mean, I told Jose I'd be happy with any combination of 2. You can't be upset if you're Oklahoma. I mean, it's a great spot to be in. What do you think?
It worked out for us with Sawchuk and Devontae Barnes. We haven't seen much of Gavin Sawchuk this season, but I mean, if the bowl game is any sort of preview, that duo, that tandem is going to be special for a while to come. And I think I agree with you. Any 2 of those guys you just mentioned can replicate that. I think we're gonna. I mean, constantly having a nice 1-2 punch in the backfield would be very good for us. I'm okay with it too.
Yeah, you got to have great depth because, the portal is a thing. And then also you're going to have kids going to the NFL the way that they're producing. So talking about another running back is James Peoples, 2024 4-star running back. He's the number 6 running back, according to 247 in the class, 5'10", 192 pounds out of San Antonio. His numbers are really impressive. 191 carries, 1,900 yards, and 28 touchdowns last year. So again, as you talked about, yards per carry, 10 yards a carry. 28 touchdowns is a lot of touchdowns. Alabama's offered him. He competes in track and field. He's a co-MVP at the Texas District 13-5, AA, whatever. I don't know, Division II. They've got so many districts and everything else in Texas. Brandon, what do you think about James Peoples? I'm putting you on the spot.
No, yeah, I feel like you just said exactly what I was gonna, what I wanted to say. He's stamped, and I talk about that with every recruit. So the fact that he's stamped is huge. But those numbers jump off the page at you. To touch the ball almost 200 times and still average nearly 10 yards a carry, 9.9, and to have 28 touchdowns, that's stupid. He's got great burst, great acceleration. I think he finds the holes really well. If you watch his tape and stuff, he hits the spin move. He's hitting the B button constantly, but he's very, very good with it. He's dragging defenders. He's elusive as he is powerful with running people over. I fell in love with watching his game. He is, of the guys we talked about so far, probably him and Stacey Gage would be my dream duo for the 24 running back class. Big James People fan, did long jump and track too. there's really nothing about his game that I don't like. James People is my favorite running back in this class, probably. So I would like to have James Peoples.
I don't blame you. I'm watching a couple of his huddle videos. I've been watching him throughout the while we've been recording just to get a little bit of an update on him. He runs like Saquon Barkley. I don't know if you got that impression when you first watched him, but the way that he cuts, the burst that he has, and his legs are tree trunks already, and he's only a junior in high school. He's probably gonna gain another 15 pounds by the time he does play at the college level. If it's that Oklahoma as a true freshman or anywhere else as a true freshman or a redshirt, he's gonna be a tough guy to bring down for definitely his senior year. I'm assuming that he plays at the high level that he did last year, and wherever he goes to school, he's gonna be a guy that people need to watch out for, and would not surprise me if he climbs in the rankings because those numbers that you guys talked about really impressive. The way he runs, I don't know. He looks like Saquon Barkley if you watch him run.
He does, and I think if he chooses Oklahoma, he has a chance to do what Javante Barnes did as a freshman. Not necessarily start, but get significant playing time, and clearly show that he is going to be the number one back going forward. With Barnes, he's going to be split with Sawchuk, but I think James Peoples could have a very, very good career. He's going to have a very, very good career no matter where he goes. Hopefully, it's just at OU.
A plethora of talent, and you can never have enough running backs. I remember a couple of years ago when Oklahoma was extremely thin at running back and how quickly that has changed. Now Oklahoma, it's just a matter of how are you going to spread the wealth, get every one of these guys involved. I mean, a lot of freshmen are probably going to have to redshirt and wait a year or two, but if you wait long enough, it pays off in the end, in the long run, because you get put in a position to excel and succeed. So continuing on the offense, a teammate of a running back, that is of Jeremy Payne from Missouri City, Texas. They both go to Hightower High School. Oklahoma also hosted Zion Kearney, a 6'3", 195-pound, 4-star wide receiver in the 24 class. The number 9 wide receiver in the class, number 65 overall player. Last year put together some solid stats. 39 catches, 765 yards, and 8 touchdowns. So when you look at his yards per catch there, just doing the math off the top of my head, that's about 19 yards a catch. That's pretty efficient. Jose, what do you think about Kearney? I mean, 6'3", 195 going into his senior year. He's bound to grow. He's bound to put on a little more weight. I mean, that even if he stays at 6'3", that's a great frame. What do you think?
Yeah, that's the first thing that you see when you're looking at a wide receiver that Oklahoma is recruiting, because of it being the prototype now that Jeff Lebby's going after. Most of the time you're saying 6'2", 6'3" guys that are getting recruited. And the fact that he's 100, you said 195, right? I got that correct. At that frame, pretty impressive. That means he could, like you said, probably can add on some weight. Typically when you see a kid that's 16, 17 years old at that height, they're usually pretty slender because their bodies just haven't filled out quite yet. Kind of think of them as basketball players, big, tall, long, and usually going to be lanky, but he's got muscle on him already. Wouldn't be surprised if he gains another 5-10 pounds by the end of his senior year, going into college at over 200 plus pounds. He's physical, and he doesn't really lose speed. That's what is impressing me at the height and weight that he's at. He's still burning guys, DBs, pretty regularly. So he would definitely be kind of Jaden Gibson-esque. But looking at Jaden Gibson, right, he's tall and lanky. He does, even if he weighs a little heavier, he doesn't look like Zion does physically. So definitely, hopefully, a guy that Oklahoma's prioritizing in that Missouri City. That duo hopefully becomes Sooners sooner rather than later.
Yeah, Zion Kearney, that you mentioned that 19.6 yards a catch, but he did it, and he's doing it in a plethora of ways, which is my favorite part of his game. Is Jose mentioned a guy who's 6'3", who's beating people deep, and he's doing it consistently. But he's also a guy who's 6'3", who's catching little swing passes and going 25, 30 yards. So he has a lot to his game. I do agree with him. Adding some size, he's going to be even better in that jump ball situation. Add a little more strength, fill out a little bit. I think he can be pretty good for Oklahoma if he does make the decision. I like that he has multiple different things to his game to go and get those yards. He's not just a burner, not just a a medium route guy. He can do it all. There's a lot to his game that you can like. Good size. Let's do it.
And we've heard from him, and this was his first visit to Oklahoma. So obviously Oklahoma was trying to give a good impression, and seems as though they have. Really, the family feel that Oklahoma's been giving him, and obviously to every other person, and also how committed and how connected all the coaches and all the alums are to the football program seems to be a factor in standing out. So I think overall, when you look at Zion's recruitment, I think this was a big success. If he's close to his announcement or commitment, I don't think so. I think he's going to be someone that will be going summer into fall, and he's going to figure it out. But someone that I would certainly hope that if you get one player out of Missouri City, Texas, that means you could potentially get the other one. Jeremy Payne hops on board, because obviously he's been crystal balled to Oklahoma by Nick Harris from Rivals. So if he hops on board, you get that peer-to-peer recruiting, and you like to think that will play well into Oklahoma's favor there. So another big receiver.
We also got to shout out Coach Jones. I mean, I think this is his first big recruiting weekend for Oklahoma, and
True.
he's blended right in with the coaching staff, showing the wide receivers that were in attendance that he's going to do everything he can to elevate their play, and showing them that the priority is to grow them as individuals as well, not just football players.
That's actually a really good point. I mean, yeah, this was Emmett Jones' first recruiting weekend as a Sooner, and it's probably kind of a surreal feeling, just because of how much talent now he has access to, compared to, not saying that Texas Tech, isn't a great program. It's just, it's not
let's be
the
honest,
level
it is a different level of guys that want to play at Oklahoma than guys that you will typically get to visit for a recruiting weekend at a Texas Tech, just because brand. I mean, I'm sure that he experienced it whenever they're trying to plan out things for Texas Tech junior days and recruiting events. You got to be aware of Oklahoma's and Texas, even A&M, like just trying to beat them out to try to get kids to go to Lubbock.
And now he's just getting kids to come to Norman. It's probably a little bit easier. So moving on, staying on the offensive side, another offensive lineman visited this weekend. And also, we don't need to talk about him now, but Coach B was doling out the offers for the 2025 class this weekend. A lot of talented kids, 2 talented offensive linemen out of Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas, which I don't know if you guys are familiar with that high school. Some great Sooners have come out of there. Murray and Javante Barnes and Jake Taylor.
Isn't Jake Taylor? Oh, yeah. I was say Jake Taylor's from that region.
Yeah, so Oklahoma is going back to the well there in the 25 class, and we can talk about them for another day. But Coach B was also recruiting in person for Casey Poe, 6'5", 280-pound offensive lineman from Lindale, Texas. He's the number 12 interior offensive lineman, so projects seems to be as a guard. 6'5", has got some great height to play on the interior position, and Oklahoma hosted him. Seemed like it went really well. I think TCU is recruiting him as well for an unofficial visit, it appears. What do you think about Casey, Brandon? I know you watched some film on him. I think it's someone that Oklahoma's in a pretty solid position to be in. They've got a crystal ball in favor of them from Parker Thune, so obviously you've got to feel pretty solid here.
Good. I mean, to be 6'5", 280 pounds as a junior in high school, I mean that's freaky to me. And because by the time he reaches campus and has Jerry Schmidt on his side, and Coach B is the best offensive line coach in the country, he's going to be, if he chooses Oklahoma, he's going to be 6'5", 315, 330 by the time he comes down to it. But he moves so well for a guy that's that big. He's got the stamp of approval, just big and strong. There's nothing he can't do on the line. He's played tackle. He's also a Texas 4A shot put champion, which shows just some of that strength, being able to throw that dumbass ball however far they have to do it to win. There's a lot to his game that his tape is so fun to watch. Reminds me of watching Caden Green a couple years ago, just blindside ass, just running around mauling kids. Would love to get this kid in the Crimson and Cream and have him play for Coach B. I think, genuinely speaking, I think if you're a top tier offensive lineman, it doesn't make any sense to me to go anywhere else. Coach B is proven. If you want to play in the league, if you want to do stuff, Coach B will get you there.
Does Casey happen to wrestle as well, or just shot put in high school?
I just saw shot puts.
Okay, because I know Brandon, you're big wrestling fan and you're the big fan of when guys wrestle and are football players because of how they understand how to use leverage to win matchups. Shot put is kind of a similar situation for offensive linemen because they have to work a lot of their footwork is with shot put is a lot of footwork and explosiveness, and that's something that's he's learning by doing that at the high school level. Something that's definitely important to look at when you're trying to figure out how good can this offensive lineman be. And you're right, with the size that he has already as a 16, 17-year-old, he's going to be a big boy by the time he gets to college, wherever it is he goes. TCU is going to be a thorn in our sides probably for the next 6-7 months because of how well of a season they had. Sonny Dykes, he's a good recruiter, and they're right in the heart of Dallas-Fort Worth. It's a lot easier for kids to go visit TCU than it is to go to Norman or even Austin. So hopefully this is a guy that hopefully he enjoys his time at TCU, but not so much that he starts leaning that way, because it's not going to be fun to try to battle those guys in Fort Worth for the next 6 or 8 months. If they don't have a good season to start off next year, then I could see them start maybe dwindle a little bit, but they're really using that momentum of last season to get those bigger talents to visit.
He also has a great name. Y'all remember Dontari Poe for the Chiefs?
Yeah.
That's just the last person I remember to have Poe and play football. I like it. It's just random, but I'm a big fan of his name.
Yeah, he must be good then if he's got the same last name, right? So got to do a little mid-video plug here. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Apple, Spotify, and TikTok. Brandon wants me to make sure to always say TikTok. Go follow us there. When you follow us on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook, you get up-to-the-minute updates from Twitter that we try to gather and put out, and Instagram, a lot of different pictures. So be sure to go follow us on there. Leave us a review on Apple or Spotify if you're listening on there. That helps us out a lot. And so the next thing we're going to be talking about is someone that we've talked about. It's been a while. Xena Umazulu, I believe that's how you say his name. 6'4", 210-pound defensive end from Allen, Texas. He's a 2024 4-star. He's the number 4 edge player in the country, so an extremely elite talent. Obviously, playing at Allen, you must be pretty good if you're competing. And what's crazy is at Allen, he played as a sophomore, played as his junior, and obviously he's going to play this senior year. So in 2 years, he's racked up 89 tackles, 15 tackles for loss, and 9 sacks. Pretty talented kid. His older brother, plays at Texas. He's an offensive lineman, Neto Umazulu. I know Oklahoma was recruiting him, but Texas ultimately won out there. Jose, what do you think about Xena? He came up for a visit this weekend. It seemed like it went really well, and I believe his tweet he put out that he's looking forward to coming back.
Yeah, he's a very talented guy, and hopefully someone that Oklahoma stays in the mix for in the long run. I think it's going to be really hard because of his brother being at Texas. He's really close to DJ Hicks. As we all know, he ended up going to A&M. So those Texas schools are going to be big competitors for Xena's commitment. Wouldn't be surprised if this one goes to length all the way through the football season. If he makes a decision before August, that means whatever school gets him put in a lot of work over the summer. And if Oklahoma's going to end up winning out for him, they've got to get him back to campus a couple of times over the summer and making sure that one of them is official and making him hopefully convincing him enough that it shuts down his recruitment midsummer. Because it's not going to be fun to have to try to battle A&M again for a defensive lineman that could be successful at Oklahoma, but for whatever reason, the recruitment of defensive linemen at A&M has been really well. Right after Brandon goes, I have something that I want to get you guys' instant reaction on.
So this kid, talk about another great name. That's a hell of a name. For that reason alone, I'm on board for him to commit. Let's pursue him hard. Let's just go after names. How cool would it be to beat your brother, not only on the football field, but to individually beat him? You said his brother's a tackle. I don't think it could be better than had a Red River game. Just like bull rushing through your brother, sacking Arch Manning or Quinn Ewers, whoever the hell it is. Got to be a good feeling. That'd be awesome. I think the Texas schools suck. Let's go.
All right. So I was open Twitter real quick to get a little bit more of background from Xena to remind myself, and I came across On Three's tweet about 5-star defensive lineman David Stone. I'm not sure if you guys are aware, the people that are watching, but he was at Michigan State this weekend. Seems to be that they are the biggest competitors outside of Oklahoma for David Stone's commitment. He was quoted, "OU is like the place where I'm from, but Michigan State feels like home." Do you guys now feel like Michigan State is a real competitor for his commitment, or are you still pretty confident that he's going to end up a Sooner? Because I've been on this train for a while now. Mel Tucker is really starting to piss me off. He needs to stop coaching for a second and just let Oklahoma get a win here.
I agree with you. I think Mel Tucker's annoying. I think they've been a legitimate threat. They're pushing hard for him, and clearly they're doing a good job. They got him saying dumb stuff like that. But we've got Gerald McCoy pushing for him too, which I think is very neat. There's not a lot of kids who are 16 years old, 17, whatever, who have Gerald McCoy tweeting them daily, almost daily, whatever it is, to lock down his commitment. And I'm still gonna say that I still truly believe that at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, he will be a Sooner. But Mel Tucker and Michigan State is making it way more interesting than they need to. They already got one Oklahoma kid in by Joe. They need to just stay out of our state.
I do think, I mean, obviously they're going to be a competitor, but Michigan State is coming off of a season where they went 5-7. So did Oklahoma went 6-7. So it's not like it was much better. But I tell you what, if Oklahoma comes out and plays really well like they should, I'm not saying that they're going to go undefeated this fall, but they should win 10 games, 10, 11 games, probably play for a Big 12 title. You play well, Michigan State probably will struggle again. I'm not saying that they're going to go 5-7, but they might go 6-6 or 7-5, best case scenario in the Big 10. They struggle. Oklahoma excels. I think the longer this drags out, the more times he goes to Oklahoma, Oklahoma improves. The defensive line play improves. I think Oklahoma ultimately is the decision. I just see him kind of the whole Gentry Williams deal where he was really, really hot and heavy with USC for a while. And then as the decision became closer and closer, he realized where his heart really was and where home was. I could be totally wrong, but I feel like the more time that this has, and Oklahoma plays well, I think Oklahoma ultimately wins out. I mean, Michigan State is a threat. I just don't see a plethora of talented defensive linemen going to East Lansing, Michigan, and playing for a program that is going to go 8-4 at best case scenario.
I've never been to East Lansing, but I feel like that place sucks. So how can he call that place home?
It's cold.
That's fair. It is. The one thing that I think is going to be the ultimate decision maker if he ends up not making his commitment before his senior season is performance on the field. And the defense, I mean, I know we talk about it, the Todd Bates effect all the time, and we are in the mix for these top defensive linemen more often than we're not, especially pre-Todd Bates. We definitely weren't in it as much as we are now, but now it's a matter of closing and showing that you can develop some of these guys. And I think the defensive line play will be better. You've got younger guys, Grayson Halton, some of the guys from 2022 is going to start making an impact on the field. So I think that's ultimately going to be, if the defensive line play is good, or at least improved since last year, then I'd feel a little bit better. But Jesus, Michigan State's starting to annoy me.
Yeah, they are a pain. So I guess we'll see. It's going to be a long time before we truly get this all figured out come December. So we're 11 months out. We're going to have to buckle up and get comfortable, right? So,
yep.
But so that's all I've got as far as recruiting talk. So as I hinted earlier in the show, I've got to ask you guys. Obviously, it's the AFC and the NFC championship games are today and are later this afternoon. We're recording before them. Brandon, I'm going to start with you. Who wins the NFC championship and why?
San Francisco. I don't know why. I'm on the
Bandwagon.
birdie. I'm on the birdie train. I would like to see Philadelphia. I really would. I want to see Jalen Hurts in there. He's just, I want to see Jalen Hurts in there, but I think San Francisco is going to win the game. I think Brock Purdy's going to keep his hot streak going. That San Francisco defense is for real. Like it's really really good. I think it's going to be a very low scoring game because at the end of the day, Philadelphia is playing Brock Purdy, who's not like he's not godlike or anything, but he's playing well. I think it's going to be like a 17-13 San Francisco game, 20-17 San Fran. Unfortunately, I'd like to be wrong. I really would like to see. Ideally, it's Bengals Eagles. I just have the exact opposite. I have a Super Bowl whatever it was rematch. I think it's going to be Chiefs Niners.
So I think it's going to be the Eagles in this game, and I think they're actually going to score a lot of points because it seems like everyone's kind of just decided that it's going to be a low-scoring game because Brock Purdy is Brock Purdy. The expectations are pretty low for him, and the defenses on both sides are pretty good. But the one thing that Philadelphia's defense can't really stop is the run, and that's the one thing that the San Francisco offense is very good at, and vice versa. The Niners' defensive secondary is butt cheeks, and Jalen Hurts can sling the ball.
So I'm gonna take the Niners. One thing that's telling me to not pick them is there's never been a rookie quarterback that has started a Super Bowl. And rookie quarterbacks are like 0-3, 0-4 in conference championship games. But I think the talent around Brock Purdy will take him to the, get them to the Super Bowl. I kind of think that Kyle Shanahan didn't show his full cards against the Cowboys because he didn't have to because Dak made mistakes. I think you're going to see the offense be able to move. I think they're going to both score. I think it's 31-27 San Fran. I think you see Brock Purdy not light it up, but I think he plays better than he did last week. And I think that they just do enough to win. And Trent Williams is going to neutralize. Obviously, you've got Lane Johnson going up against like Nick Bosa and Fred Warner and Armstead and all them. But I just think the Niners are just too good. And I think the Eagles kind of are a little arrogant. And I think the Niners can come in and take care of business with them. So
last time they were in an NFC championship, wasn't it against the Packers and Jimmy Garoppolo threw the ball like less than 10 times?
Yeah, he didn't throw it much.
Yes, they beat the Packers.
Yeah,
because the Packers were talking
Lambeau.
Shit about. Yeah, the Packers were talking. Aaron Rodgers said something about how because they keep having these playoff exits, and he was like, "We just got to get 1 year where we're the home team in these games."
Yeah.
And then San Francisco went to Lambeau and beat them.
Yeah. So I just don't think Brock Purdy's going to have to do a whole lot, and I think they're going to be coached well enough. And Kyle Shanahan's been here. Nick Sirianni hasn't. So I think that's worth something. So moving on the AFC, Brandon, you already said you want the Bengals, but you think it's the Chiefs?
Yeah, I want the Bengals because I want to see Joe and Samaje have a chance to get it back after losing so close last year. But the Bengals beat the Chiefs last year in the AFC title game. The mayor of Cincinnati just went out and said that Joe Burrow is Patrick Mahomes' father or some dumb shit like that. I think all that stuff is going to play a factor. Obviously, the Chiefs don't want to lose twice in a row to the same team in the same game. Obviously, if Patrick Mahomes heard it, which I'm sure he did, I mean, he heard the mayor of Cincinnati say that his father plays for the other team. That's going to piss him off. I think Pat Mahomes is going to light them up today. I think he's going to go for 400 yards, 3 or 4 touchdowns. I think the Chiefs win and almost relatively easy. I think it's going to be like 27-14. I think they win by almost 2 scores.
I agree. I think Cincinnati, the Bengals, Who Day Nation, they're getting a little bit too big for their britches, calling Arrowhead Burrowhead. The mayor saying that dumb stuff. The boys in Kansas City aren't just going to lay down and let you get to the Super Bowl again. They're going to fight. I mean, I'm pretty sure this is 4 times in a row that Patrick Mahomes makes to the AFC Championship. He's only lost 5 times. Last year was his first loss. Has he been to the Super Bowl every other year?
No. He lost
he lost to
the
Patriots.
The Patty Melts beat him
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure in one of those games too, where it was in overtime and Pat didn't get a chance to touch the ball or something. It was something like that.
Pre-rules that made sense. All right. Well, either way, I think Patrick Mahomes, I agree with you, is not going to take it lightly, and I hope Chris Jones obliterates that offensive line. and hits Joe Burrow a few times so that they can knock him down a peg.
I'm going to pick the Bengals. I think the Bengals roll in. I just think I think Joe Burrow is that guy, and I think he can elevate them. And I don't think the Chiefs can stop Chase, Higgins, and Boyd. And then you've got Mixon coming out of the backfield with Pirine and Hayden Hurst. I just don't think the Chiefs can stop them. And I think Joe Burrow has shown that he can go on the road and win, and he's not scared. And I think Joe Burrow is that guy, and I think they beat him.
Hose, it's funny you mentioned Chris Jones because I'm pretty sure Chris Jones is the reason that Patrick Mahomes doesn't have isn't 4-1 in these games. The Bengals just beat him last year. The year that the Patriots beat him in the AFC title game, and Brum, you probably remember this better. Chris Jones lined up offsides on a play
It wasn't
that was
Chris
intercepted.
Jones.
Was it not Chris Jones? Damn,
It was.
I thought it was Chris
I'm pretty
Jones.
sure. I'm pretty sure it was Frank Clark.
Oh yeah, it may have been. I don't know, but I remember, and he wasn't even near the play. It had nothing to do with the impact of the play, and that otherwise, Patty Mahomes would have been 4-1 in title games.
Yeah, I think it was Frank Clark, but someone might be able to correct me who's watching this. But I think it was him. I don't think it was Chris Jones, but yeah, I mean, Chris Jones will be the deciding factor. Alex Kappa and Jonah Williams don't look like they're going to be playing, and obviously Lyle Collins is out for the year, so they are down to they're out. Top 3 offensive linemen, 3 out of 5 are gone. That's going to be the big deal. If the Bengals can provide protection like they did against the Bills, I think Joe Burrow goes in and they win. I'm going to say it's a higher scoring game. I think it's like a 31-28, and I think it's another 3-point win for Cincinnati because that's what they've been doing is winning by 3 points. So I don't know. And then we'll have to preview the Super Bowl whenever that comes up later.
Also, fun fact about this weekend is there are 9 Sooners playing in championship weekend in the NFL. So Ethan will put a tweet out about that, which is more than any other school in the country. So recruits pay attention to that shit. We put kids in the league. And I also want to give a quick shout out to OU basketball. I know they were letting us down all season. Yesterday they beat the hell out of the number 2 team in the country. I think it also speaks volume to the strength of the Big 12 conference that the number 9 team in the conference, which it was us, just manhandled the number 2 team in the country, a team that hadn't lost since before December or before Christmas. And it wasn't even close yesterday. That was awesome. Shout out to the Lloyd Noble Center in general. It was cool to see us actually have a home court advantage for once. I think it made a difference. The game plan was obviously very well executed. I think Jalen Hill and Grant Sherfield played great. Yesterday was a fun day to be a fan of OU hoops. Let's keep that going.
Yeah, no, I agree. That game was awesome. I was not overly confident going in. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sit here and act like I thought OU would win, but the way they started, I was like, wait a minute, we might actually have a legitimate chance to win this game. And then they ran away. Did you see the newspaper that Oklahoma State put out having leftovers talking about Spencer Sanders playing Ole Miss? I mean, come on.
They're so dumb. That fan base is so dumb. That school is so dumb. I would rather like Brace, his dad used to say, like, if Brace got a full ride to go to Oklahoma State, he would pay for him to go somewhere else because I think that's smart. Going there makes you an idiot.
I don't think anyone could have said it better.
Oh man, I don't know. I saw that. I thought that was absolutely ridiculous. But anyway, so that's all I've got. Brandon, do you want to do an individual challenge?
Yeah, I mean, you guys, it was decided beforehand, but when we discussed it, let's give us your championship weekend picks. There's Sooners on every team. Who do you want to see play in the Super Bowl and why? And who do you think is going to win? It's an easy one today.
All right. Well, if you made it this far, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Apple, Spotify, and TikTok. Everything's linked in the description below, and leave us a review on Apple or Spotify. It helps us out a lot, and we will catch you guys next time.
Pretty sure Vic Fangio just became the Dolphins defensive coordinator too. Jimmy, if you're watching, we got him.
I also saw that he was at a Cracker Barrel this morning. It looked like in Miami, so not shocking.
Big get.
Big get. So, all right, we'll catch you guys next time.